Shalom, hello, we are going to be reading from the writings of Rabbash the article. And it shall come to pass, when you come to the land that the Lord your God gives, you can find the study material on the sites and the AR system, and you can send live questions through there. Whoever asks questions in the study hall is asked to stand up, hold the microphone close to his mouth and speak loud and clear. Kanban. Let's ride in one sentence. Says you come to the land and you inherit it and you dwell in it, meaning the entire plan in one sense. Let's see. Interpreters ask about the verse, and it shall come to pass that when you come to the land that the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance, and you will inherit and dwell in it. They asked, what is the precision that the Lord your God gives you after all the people of Israel conquered it by? Were they explained that one should know in one's heart that not by his own might and strength does he come to inherit the land, rather it is the gift of the Creator, as they said, that the Lord your God gives you as inheritance, and not my strength and the might of my hand. To understand the above in the work, we need to know that land means desire, meaning that the desire in man's heart is called land. The nations of the world live in at land which is called man's heart, and the people of Israel live in it. However, we should know that they cannot live in it together. The people of Israel and the nations of the world cannot rule together. Either there is governance of the nations of the world there, or the governance of Israel. To understand the real reason why both of them cannot be in one place, it is known that the creation of the world was because of his desire to do good to his creations. For this reason he has created the will to receive delight and pleasure, that is he created in the creatures a lack to always crave pleasures. For we see that the creature feels the pleasure according to his desire is the CLE that was created by the Creator, and it is the first discernment we discern in the creatures. If the creatures do not have that desire, they are still not regarded as created beings. It turns out that you cannot speak of any discernment if there is no will to receive there, and this is the whole of creation of which we speak, which is the CLE for the reception of their pleasure, because of the shame which is our sages call bread of shame. There was a restriction not to receive in order to receive, unless one can aim to bestow, is regarded as equivalence of form. If one can receive the pleasures with the intention to bestow contentment upon the Creator, then one receives. Otherwise he does not want to receive. This is called Israel, meaning straight to the meaning. Everything he thinks of is only that everything will get to the Creator, and he is not taken into account because he is not thinking of himself at all. Rather, all his thoughts are only for the Creator. This is called the land of Israel, meaning that he has a desire directly to the Creator, that is, he has no desires of self-love but of love of others and for himself, that he will enjoy life. He has no desire at all. All he wants is to have the means to bestow upon the Creator, and all the nourishment he gives to his body are only to have the strength to work in order to bestow. This is similar to a person who has a horse and he gives it food and water. That is, everything he gives to the horse is not because he loves it, because he has to work with it. Therefore all his thoughts of pleasing the horse are not because of love, but simply because he wants to use the horse for his own benefit, and he is not thinking at all about the horse's favor. This is called the land of Israel, meaning that all his thoughts are only land desire, that everything will be straight to the Creator. This is not so with the land of the nations. This is a land, a desire of self-love, which is called the peoples of their land. This means that all their desires are only the desires of the whose intention is not the Creator's will but the people's will, meaning the creatures' will were called nations, while the Creator is the one who created the nation also. And all the nations of the earth shall see that the name of the Lord is called upon you, and they shall fear you. It is also written, Abraham arose and bowed before the people of the land, the sons of Hit. This means that they do not know or feel anything but the people, which is self-love, and only this is regarded as creatures, but the people of Israel are not. So they want to annul themselves and their being, which is the will to receive that was created. Existence from absence. This is why we say in the K of a good day, who has chosen us from every nation. Those two governances cannot be together. Either the will to bestow governs or the will to receive governs. Both cannot exist together because each one contradicts the other, and two opposites cannot be in the same subject. From this comes the war of the inclination that one should fight with oneself to subdue the heart, which is where these desires clothe, expel the domination of the will to receive and give full governance to the desire to bestow upon the Creator. When one begins to work the holy work, which is to aim all of his work for the Creator, the wars between those two desires begin. Then through great labor a person is rewarded with overcoming, and he wins the war. At that time the ruling of the will to bestow upon the Creator enters his heart, and a person can say, my might and the strength of my hand has gotten me these riches, and only through his work he inherited the heart, which is now called the land of Israel, because his desire is straight to the Creator. In this regard the verse comes and tells us, when you come to the land that the Lord your God gives you, that is, you did not conquer it by your own strength, but rather the Lord your God gives you, meaning that once a person has made the sufficient effort to conquer the heart through the wars, he has fought with the nations of the world and has defeated them, he has inherited the heart, which is now called the land of Israel, and not the land of the nations. Still, he should believe that he did not conquer the land, but the Lord your God gives you, and not my strength and the might of my hand has gotten me these riches. By that we should understand what is difficult about it, that the Creator promised Abraham, as it is written, he said to him, I am the Lord who took you out from of the Chalin to give you this land to inherit it. Therefore why did he first give the land to the nations of the world, and then the people of Israel came and had to fight them and drive them out of their land, and the whole world complain, why did you conquer a land that was never yours? And only by conquering through war you say that this is your land. Everyone understands that it would certainly be better if he did not give this land to the nation of the world. Then there would be no shortage of places for the nations of the world to dwell. After all, afterwards new countries were made, and the Creator could have made it that they would not dwell in this place, but this was not what happened. Rather, first the 7 nations sat here, as well as the rest of the kings, and the people of Israel had to fight with them and drive them out. And all the nations of the world are yelling at the people of Israel, you are robbers, you have conquered the lands of 7 nations. Why do I need this trouble? Rashi introduces Sage's interpretation. What is the reason? That it begins with, in the beginning, because of the might of his deeds he told his people to give them an inheritance of nations. For if the idol worshippers would to say to Israel, you are robbers, you have stolen the lands of 7 nations, they tell them the whole earth belongs to their Creator. He has created it, and he has given it to whom he pleases. Upon his will he gave it to them, and upon his will he took it from them and gave to us. This is perplexing. Why do I need this order that occurred? Meaning that before he gave it to us, he first gave it to the of the world, and only after, once they settled, he told us, go drive them out of this land, for I have promised it to Abraham by way of root and branch. We can interpret this whole matter. It is known that our land is called mal, which is the roots of the creatures, which is called receiving. In order to receive, this is the root, meaning the first receiver called the world of, and afterwards corrections were made, meaning not to receive because of self reception cost. The lower one wants to bestow upon the Creator That is, he wants the will to receive for himself to be annulled, meaning not to use it, and all of his work will be only to bestow contentment upon the Creator. According to the above, it turns out that in the order of creation of the corporeal world, too, there should be the same order as in spirituality. That is, first this land is given to the nations of the world, and then by overcoming and wars the nations of the world are driven out of this land, and the people of Israel conquer it and inherit the place of the nations of the world. This is so because the root of the nations of the world is the middle point, on which there was the restriction that is since the first discernment that emerged in the world had to be a receiver in order to receive for. Otherwise, you cannot say that he is restricting himself not to receive, since overcoming relates to a place where there is a desire and craving to receive, and he overcomes his craving and wants equivalence of form. Therefore, the nations of the world had to first receive this land, like the where the will to receive emerged first, which is the essence of creation, and then it can be said that we need to make corrections. Therefore, once the nations of the world received this land, the people of Israel came and corrected the land to be entirely for the Creator. This is called the land of Israel, as it is written, a land that the Lord your God always demands. The eyes of the Lord your God are on it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We should understand about what is written, that the land of Israel is called a land that the eyes of the Lord your God are on it from the beginning of the year to the end of the earth. It means that the guidance of the Creator is on it, meaning specifically on the land of Israel, but the guidance of the Creator is all over the world. As the poet says, the eyes of the Lord roam everywhere. How can we say that his guidance is only in the land of Israel? We should interpret what is the land of Israel. It means that the land has already come out of the authority of the nations of the world and has already entered the authority of Israel. This is what the verse is trying to tell us and to hint to us, so as to know whether they are in the land of Israel or still in the land of the nations. The sign for this is as it is written, a land that the Lord your God always demands. Tells us what is the land of Israel. It says that we need to know that the Creator always demands it, and what is his demand first says, onward the eyes of the Lord your God are on it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. For the guidance of the Creator is called the eyes of the Lord. Therefore, if a person sees his guidance from the beginning of time, which is called the beginning of the year, to the end of the year, which means that he sees the unending guidance of the Creator, this is called the land of Israel. The lands of the nations means that only the Creator knows that he is watching over the whole world, but the nations of the world do not see it. This is why he has given us a sign, so as to know if we are in the land of Israel, or is the land where we are dwelling still the land of the nations of the world. It turns out from all the above that first the nations of the world should enter this land, which implies the will to receive, which is the place where it is born first, and then they wage war with the will to receive and subdue it into the authority of holiness, meaning that everything he does will be according to the Creator's demand by what the interpreters explained about the words, and it shall come to pass that when you come to the land that the Lord your God gives you, it means that one should not say, after all the was with their inclination that he had to always overcome it every single day, he should not think that he has achieved what he has achieved by his own strength. Rather, the Creator let him win in this war. This is the meaning of that he gives you. We need to make two discernments. The in that he gives you is the which is faith. This is called the hand. Concerning the hand our sages said, and let it be for you as a token, and not for others as a token. Because of it the hand should be covered, which means that faith is called, be humble with the Lord your God, which is above reason. 2 which is the head. Of concerning the heaven our sages said, about the verse, and all the nations of the earth shall see that the name of the Lord is called upon you, and they shall fear ye. These are the heaven, meaning that it is written there, and all the nations of the earth shall see. For the head should be revealed to all. This is discerned as Tur, and the Torah is called so, precisely that it is revealed, but the hand should be covered, which means above. Reason therefore we can't say words to another, because everything that one can say to another is only through reason, and with something that is above reason there are no words. This is why is said for you as a token, and not for others. It therefore follows that this giving that the Creator has given the land to the people of Israel is in order to produce fruits out of it, as we explained above. When we speak of workland, means the heart, and the Creator gave to the serments in the heart. 1. Faith T. Through both of them a person achieves completeness, and although both come through me, we should still know that both come from a Creator, and one should not say my strength and the might of my hand has done these riches. By this we will understand what the interpreters asked, why is it written concerning the firstborn, and you shall answer, and you shall say out loud. But in reading a confession of the tithing it is written, and you said an. It is not written, and you answered as it is written in the first board. Therefore the confession of the in is said in a soft voice. Tithing is regarded as of which is the kingdom of heaven, and in that there is the matter of being humble, which is the of the hand, of which our sages said for you as a token, and not for others as a token. Therefore with the tithing which applies a mitzvah is written only, and you said, which is with a soft voice that is not heard outside, because this is regarded as being humble. Firstborn implies to the head, which is the T, which it is written, and all the nations of the earth shall see that the name of the Lord is called upon you, and they will fear you. This is why it is written about the firstborn, and you shall answer, and you shall say that as it should be with a loud voice, which is the Torah, which should be revealed to all, meaning that doing good to his creations should be revealed to the entire world. What's your impression of the article? Still thinking about it? I have 2 questions. In the war of the inclination, that inner dispute that's non-stop, how do we subdue the heart, and when in the war of the inclination through action we protect, we want his force to be revealed over everything, be revealed to all. What does that mean? That we're keeping the and we relay the feeling of the head, we reveal it, uncover it for all to see, and it works. What's the meaning of that in the inner work? In the 10 it means that we take upon ourselves, we accept upon ourselves that the feeling of the head. Openly, I don't understand what action I do in order to subdue the heart, in order to win in the war of inclination. In order to overcome the inclination, we need to show to all, both in the head and in the hand, that we are taking the name of the Creator against the intellect, and against the force, and we want to win with that. We show everyone that the name of the Lord is before us, and it's the essence of everything. In actions and actions we go only according to the laws of their Creator, the correction of creation. In order to bestow connection of the created beings must show this to everyone and keep it. Another question. This article is really beautiful. It kind of balances all this balance of forces. The question is, what can we learn from this article about our reality? We have to learn about our reality is that first of all the land of Israel was given to us, and it used to be under the authority of the nations of the world, and we need to take it from the nations of the world and rule over it, control it, and that's it, and explain it to everyone. Why did it happen? The Creator decreed this way and then gave it to us, just as it's written in the article, and the claims that the nations of the world have towards us. Now you can tell them that that's what is happening, that's what's written. They and we're simply carrying out what's written in the Torah, but that doesn't convince because the claims get even stronger. The words, they grow stronger because we are not getting stronger because we do not want to follow these lines, the written lines the Creator told us. When will this division stop? Where this is our land and there's the nations of the world, but it will actually merge into one thing. For the time being, we have to conquer our land, be under our authority, that first of all depends on our desire to live in it, in a land which is entirely from within us, from the heart of each and everyone, and all the way to the Creator. We want to be in a feeling, inner understanding, in a connection between us, such that will all be aimed at the Creator only. What, thank you. More, it's not so clear what the land of Israel is. Is it a part, or if all of reality is killed directly the Creator, then all the world, every land is. Actually, that's the next stage. Says the land of Israel is the land of the Gazelle, and it expands and takes over the entire world. So where are these calculations? That part is the land of Israel, and the rest is the nations of the world. What is this thing? First of all, there was no Israel, rather they entered the land and started to conquer it, and by conquering it you advance. There's great wars, and after you conquer, we still don't see it happening. Yet we're in the middle of the action. It turns out that we conquer and we cover the entire land. Those who are in the land of Israel, they accept the dominion of Israel over the nations of the world. Not that we're enslaving them or anything, but that's how it should be. This land, this area, this country was given to the people of Israel. What is that area in the internality of a person? What is this area of the land of Israel? In the area that is outside of the land of Israel world, to receive that is inside of a person. A person feels that this are to receive is seemingly without a landlord, then has an impulse to enter and to accept it, or it is a landlord, but this landlord is not suitable for the nature of the land of Israel. The land itself, this area has to be with the intention to bestow, and for the time being it's in order to receive, so that we can understand the whole governance, whether it's under the nations of the world or of the Creator. But what is this control of the Creator, which ISIS and the rest of the world, or the rest of reality, is not under the control of the Creator? How can such a thing be? Because if a person is corrected, then everything is under the control of the Creator. No, he's not corrected. There are stages to it. After we are present, and we are ruling over the land of Israel, which was destined for us afterwards. There it's not, those are not was, that's already the expansion of the religion of Israel over the entire world, over all the nations. What is it? That the people of Israel rule the country of the land of Israel, but not the rest of the lands. What is that? And part of the desires that are revealed, that are being revealed, we need to control them or conquer them, and then control them. Desires, egoistic desires, the part that remains outside of it. There we are not in control yet, and that's a different kind of war. Maybe we'll see how it work. They are, and other was maybe not fought by us necessarily. What are those desires in which Israel does govern, which is called the land of Israel? We control them, we settle them, and from within them we disseminate to the whole world. But it means the religion of Israel. But what are those desires? That we can say those are desires of land of Israel, and the rest of the desires are to bestow in order to bestow, and to receive in order to bestow. Meaning, if a person succeeds in all his reality in bestowing in order to bestow, to be in adhesion to the Creator, then it's called that he's in the land of Israel. No, it's not yet. You also need to be a little bit in receiving in order to bestow. Land is the border. What is to want to desire to be? There it is, and the rest of the world not yet. What opens up to him, he's trying to be in Control there in order to bestow what's not open up to him. It's not open. He is the border, the boundary, and he is. And there are such desire doesn't feel, doesn't see the boundary there, but they don't exist in his reality because they have yet to open up. For him, yes, open didn't open at all. In stages it opens, and stages to a person. What are the conditions that Israel needs to observe in order to be worthy of the land of Israel, to be unified? Without it, you can't enter the land of Israel. It means that there's a tight connection between them, and only in this way they enter and they conquer. The desire belongs to everyone. They all have to be in the intention to do one another. From the point of view of love, it depends on which level we're talking about, but that's how it works. Writes here about the restriction that takes place due to the shame, and then he writes that if he can receive the light on will desire to bestow other way, he receives, otherwise he doesn't. And that's called the discernment of Israel. Yes, the question is whether after the first restriction we can say that Israel controls all of reality. Restriction is not control yet. Restriction is. Restriction restricts itself to a point. Let's say so. What is the war over after the first restriction? The war after the restriction is that from that point of where restriction they begin to expand over a certain land area, and that's considered that we're already in the land of Israel or not, and that's from above down. How is it from below above? Meaning what we have to do. We have to do it first war and then restriction, or first restriction and then was no first restriction. They know the restriction is not from us, it's from the side of the Creator, but what's demanded from us for us to give that to us, conquer these desires. So we control these desires not in order to receive each one egoistically, where we all together connect, unite, and we control together. That's already the war of inclination. Right, first we fight the war of the nation, and then we get a restriction. For an above, first we prepare ourselves to war. We enter this area that is under the restriction. When we are under the restriction, meaning we ourselves are in this restriction, from there we begin to expand. This is the meaning of conquering the land, the area. Thank you between faith, which is covered, and the revelation of truth, which is revealed. How does this get reflected in a person to the T, or from a 10 to the collective? We're not learning this yet. I don't know. Together, I hope together we hope it will happen. Thank your answer before was not so clear. That preparation for the war and to conquer the land, the area, together the war of the inclination. So I have the desire to receive, the friend has the desire to receive, and we're helping one another. What is the war of inclination? The overcoming is not in prayer, overcoming is in the desire. We constantly want to rise above our egoistic desire with new intentions in order to bestow. Is that in our hands? Is that in our might? Yes, the prayer, certainly example that we give to one another. So to conquer that area is to conquer our feelings. Oh yes, the area, the territory is a desire. Okay, what is that the Creator gave to discernment, the faith, and the Torah in the heart of a person? That whole last part of the article with the is a little concealed. Why it's concealed? It's only a sign, a symbol that there is such an action that we have to perform before everyone. That's the thing of the head, and a concealed action each one is doing for himself, which is the filling of their hand. Can you explain what each of those is? We're not there yet, so that's why I don't want to confuse people. Chosen not from the side of good, but from the side of the bad, simply that they have to wage war and make a choice, and the rest of the nations will only join. Then that's what's written, and over thousands of years it's accumulating. No, there are more questions, and the matter of exploiting the or using the horse for his benefit is the horse to will to receive, to overcome it, so that it's not I'm writing on me, but I'm writing. It depends on how you're managing, how you controlling the horse. The horse is your will to receive, so it depends on how do you control it. Do you have a goal? Are you aimed at that goal do you connect with other friends. Together with them you want to guide this horse or these horses. Doesn't matter to the goal, that all depends on your intentions. 24 is asking how to understand the deeds, the actions that Rush is saying. Is he always talking about internal actions, or the intention is also internal and also external? Typically we speak of internal actions, but sometimes we are also performing external acts as well, feeling, for example, the prayer or other things. So can good morning about the matter of the land of Israel. There's something that he writes here. Therefore, if a person sees his governance from the beginning of time, called from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, which means that non-stop he sees the governance of the Creator, that's called the land of Israel, meaning his ability to see that the Creator is in control is being in the land of Israel. And he adds that if you're not, then you're not in the land of Israel, but in the land of the nations, meaning it's also the revelation of Phi and the concealment of faith. Seemingly, what okay, thank you. What is necessities if the whole desire needs to be directed direct to the Creator? What is necessity? What is necessity? There are desires that you can't them, so that's what I don't understand. What is those necessities if the whole desire needs to be aimed direct to the Creator? Yes, necessity means entire desire without exceptions, that a person controls it. Person is in it, he understands, he feels the desires in him. Why did they write about necessities? Being there's no redundancy, or no, not too much or not too little, that there are desires that are necessary for the existence of a person. So they're neither praised nor condemned, that belong to the degree of animal them too he needs to attribute to the Creator. So the extent to which this animal, this piece, can belong to a man. Thank you, friend, is asking why did they give the land of Israel first to the nations, and only after they conquered the land of Israel from the nations. We can say that it's our land, but the sign of it is seen. We don't see the nations, but rather only the land of Israel. See that this is how it works in the expansional reality. The W doesn't belong to our world, but comes from the Big Bang. From one point at it started to shine this light from in the dark world, and that's how it began to develop until it gets to the still vegetative, animate and speaking and beyond meaning. That's a matter of development. Thank you. We can look at this article as within one person. This whole war is within a 10 inside the 10, also not the entire article, because it speaks also of the world. The world is not a tent, the 10 is as one where the 10 is Israel. So in our work in the 10, when a person wants to love the friends in order to reach the love of the Creator, so that we will have a common vessel, he identifies desires in him that are really contradicted and resistant, and the more he tries, recognizes that he can't. And I don't understand. In the article he writes that there's some quality that a person conquers the land he needs in the end to recognize that it's the Creator gave it to him, that he didn't conquer it. Of course, from the very beginning, what do he get? The desires for conquering the land, for bestow. He doesn't have those desires. It doesn't exist in his nature. It's something that comes from outside of nature. Is that's clear that even before you inherit this desire, you recognize that you can't, and then you turn to the Creator to help. So if you already gave me thoughts that I love the friends or want to bring him contentment, what is it that there's again to return to the fact that he did it? But am I all of a sudden returning to the fact that I did it? Because in the middle I understood that I can't. I asked him for him to give it. Those are very important discernments. That's when you develop them, you come in the end to the revelation of the Creator. You must reveal it slowly. This has to be revealed somewhat. Also counts the fact that the nations of the world will recognize, or accordingly you shine this light on them, and they recognize it more. And there are periods of revelation and concealment in it. We'll learn about it in history. I wanted to Ask usually, we learn that two opposites can be in one subject, and here he is truly on the beginning says there's no opposites that. Two opposites that can be in one subject. He's saying that in relation to the desire to receive and desire to bestow, that's clear to us, that's the initial condition in nature, that they are they in opposition, the fact that they're contradicted, it's clear, but don't we need to bring them to a state in which they complement one another? You truly need to raise one of them, depends on the degree you're in. Sometimes we go together some extent. Sometimes one moves itself relative to the other, it depends on the plans that exist in each one. He writes that the war of the inclination is to subjugate, to subdue his heart, what needs to be in the end, not to subjugate the good nation, it's clear. Right, so when he says to subdue the heart, what in the end needs to be in the heart? If the heart is eventually all the will to receive, it's completely the will to receive. You subjugate the heart entirely, and you receive in your heart the heart of the giver, desire to give, to connect to love. So the correction leads to there being no will toss in reality, or if it's completely going to disappear. I don't know, I'm being realistic. It's possible that the Creator rules all the land as it's written, the Lord will be one, his name is one, so it's I guess after the W to receive without restriction. In the screen there's nothing left but the will to receive requires correction, where it turns all of its actions into bestow, order to bestow, process of subjugating the heart. What's happening if we're not working on the way to receive there? It's like it seems like it for the time being, it's restriction. Wherever I see my will to receive that it wants to control, I need to restrict it. When there is a restriction on the will to receive, then what desire is there on the restricted areas? What is there? There's no desire anymore. Let's say there's no desire, so what are they existing from then? You willing to have a desire to bestow. Thank you writes that the Creator gives a sign to a person, whether he's in the land of Israel or the land of the nations of the world. What is that sign? What sign does the Creator give? The sign is what is the result of his actions. If he's in the land of the nations of the world, and the results of his actions go in all directions, he succeeds. And if it's only for the sake of he feel that that's his work, and that's everything that he does goes, the results from his work. Is it a clear sign? A person can discern those signs. They show us this either for my benefit or for benefit of others. That's what a person sees, yes, and then he decides whether he wants this or that. Yes, you also said that there are things that a person needs to do in externality. A question is who decides what things a person tells only in internality, and what things he decides to only do in externality. It stems from the fact that we are intense, and that's why we have to these groups that we have, that we build according to the recommendation of Kabbalist. Doesn't have to be T, could be a few more, a few less in number, but not that. Don't exceed it, don't overdo it, but from that we learn how we can carry out those actions together. Who decides what things I do in externality as signs, and what things I only do in internality? Or is it only all in internality at I do? Of course I have to do everything in internality, and some of the actions I can do in externality, because I think that they can connect the 10 also. So who is it, me, that's thinking the 10? The teacher says who? Everyone. The 10 is the entire 10. The 10 decides that there are external actions that we do, and as a sign for connection, yes, asking when the Creator gave this land to the people of Israel, it's written, and in order to give forth fruit, what does it mean to achieve fruit? Fruit means outcomes, results, good, positive, good, correct outcomes, and don't think that has to do with Israel. Israel is according to the definition of straight to the Creator, even place that they are. It doesn't matter where they are, as you say, one who has a heart in him that is concerned with that. He checks himself, he advances himself towards the general correction, connection. I'm sorry, He writes here if a person sees his governance from the beginning of time, which is the beginning of the year, to the end of the year, meaning incessantly, he never stops seeing the governance of the Creator. That's called the land of Israel. Yes, how do you conquer this land? You check yourself relative to the connection with friends you are constantly yearning to be in this ever-growing connection. That's a sign that you're conquering your general desire. That becomes the land of Israel. The land of Israel, he says here that all of realities like that where the governance of the Creator is there. Yeah, that's how it opens up more and more. Is it on the axis of time, or which axis does it open up more on the axis of time? Yes, you can see that the whole world is ultimately drawn to connection, drawn to an order to this though, although it goes through many wars, before that many problems, and then the enemy comes and kind of makes you forget this. How do you battle this enemy in order to conquer the land again? You fight. You simply fight. I don't have anything to say about it. You need to know better how to fight. I'm talking about conquering the reality, the perception of reality, not about as much as we wish to control more and more all of our desires with the intention to bestow connect to ever wider circles. Then it means that we are fighting and we are stuck. Okay, can war, is it inevitable, or is it like actually practically in practicality happening practice, but it spread over thousands of years until the end of correction throughout history? I'm trying to understand in this war. I'm trying to understand which desires I'm working with. I always discovered that only at the end of an action I'm in some scrutiny, whether it was for my own benefit. I tried, there was some work that I did or not. Is there some state in which this scrutiny will happen before the action? I don't know. That's the Creator is running, managing, but so that's I'm asking, what is the war over? Where is this war? The extent to which you understand you can act. I can give you a prescription for all the actions, prescription, but at least where am I touching this? Where am I contacting this? It's all dependent on the exertion a person gives. So where is this exertion? The exertion is and the control of a person over his heart and how he connects to the friends and together with them to the Creator. Thank you. No, thank you. I wanted to ask. I don't understand at all the example he gives. Maybe help me understand about the horse. He writes this is similar to a person who has a horse and he gives him to eat and drink, meaning all that he gives to the horse is not because he has love for this horse, but rather he has to work for him, and therefore all that he thinks to enjoy the horse is not because of to delight the horse. It's not because he loves him, but because he wants to use the horse for his benefit, and he's not thinking about the benefit of the horse whatsoever. Let called the land of Israel have to understand this. What's their horse in relation to this attitude towards a horse, and why is it a horse called the land of Israel? Here horse is means by which you stow to the Creator the favors to the Creator. That the same thing is the land of Israel. If you are in the land of Israel, a desire that is aimed straight to the Creator, then whatever you do in this desire means that you are working for the sake of the Creator. He says he's nothing of and all about the benefit of the horse. Yeah, he thinks for about what he's going to get out of the horse, and not that to do good to the horse. It would be good for the grain. For example, can you equate between the horse and the will to receive that a person doesn't want to receive for the benefit of the will to receive? Yes, that's it, and that's how we can also differentiate between land and who lives in land, meaning land is desire, and who lives there is the nation of the world. In order to receive, or Israel in order to bestow that. And the next question, he says that he overcomes his yearning, and you said once today I heard that restriction is not on our behalf, it's on the side of the Creator, and the second time that I need to restrict the desire. So, but the first restriction comes from the Creator, from above, and later we need to restrict ourselves to all kinds of actions. Yes, we feel the will to receive in order To receive then, we create a restriction, and from the restriction we begin to examine our desires. What can we use in order to bestow, and what we cannot use in order to bestow and has to be restricted for the time being. What does it depend upon that a person succeeded or the 10 succeeded and overcomes his yearning or not? What does it depend upon? That's a result of his previous work. And last question, because each and everyone can say to the other it's only through reason, and therefore a matter of above reason. There are no words, but all our study depends on words. Yes, speak without words, you can learn, and we're learning how to reach faith. Abba, doesn't it depend on words, but above reason? He says that there are no words, there's no words. There's no words, there's nothing to talk about. They're whether they're one who wants to get there, who is inclined toward it. Then gradually he makes it, and after he gets there he begins to understand to the extent that he gets there. Thank you very much. We have to fight externally as it's happening now, just like King David conquered his inner desire. No, that only depends on how we divide the spiritual land of Israel, whether it's ours or not. Do we want to conquer it, all of us together, or are we ready to relinquish it and go into the exile or live on some piece of land somewhere? It all depends on our decision, and no matter what will happen, we eventually will control the whole land of Israel, even more through these small walls we're doing here on the small part of this land on earth. By this we are actually advertising or going into this the areas of all the nation of the world and affecting them in a way that eventually our approach will be, well, you can say controlling, well, not controlling, because it all depends on man, that a person should accept it and agree to it and want it, but that's how it's going to be. That's why these walls, even this present war, also has all kinds of goals that we don't even know about them yet, but it's worth. There's a need for all these actions. There is a need for each and every action, even though we don't understand what's happening and what we're doing. But the forces are activating us. Yes. I don't understand the wars we see now in the physical real. It's a way to advertise Israel's role, to bring it to humanity's awareness. Yes, what is the need for this war? We can't see it in each and every little private action, but that's still the way it's happening. What is the spiritual benefit from the current war in Israel? I can't say, I can't define it, this current war to you, but all in all these little wars that we're doing in these few years, every time it's in order to penetrate into humanity and insert the knowledge, the Torah of Israel, the nation of Israel, the Creator, that all these things will be closer to them. Does it penetrate humanity, the material world, that are happening wars that are happening? You can't say, because we don't see the forces that are conducting the war, the wars, the forces that are behind the wars. You can't explain it. We, as if speaking on two levels, usually we say that war is a result of lack of connection in the people. That's what it seems to us. That's the way it's clothed in such relationships between us. The matter is the way it's clothing in a complex way the spiritual forces in corporality. So it's not clear war. We want the war to stop, or maybe not. It sounds like it's good. It's advancing humanity. Doesn't matter what we think and what we drawn to. The war stops when it executes its purpose. What should be our relation to the war? How should we relate to the war in Israel? As a principle, we don't want wars to take place. Why not? It sounds like it helps humanity, so it's not clear what's the right approach to the war. We do not need wars. We want connection between everybody. How to reach it? When we reach it, it still isn't clear to us. Okay, there's one thing he says here, because is a commandment, which is the kingdom of heaven, and in this there is humble concealment, which is the hand thing. So in mything something you should do in concealment, say it in a low soft voice, so it's not her outside. He kind of compares two things here. Yech, but what do you need this for? Let it go. What is he trying to say internally? About this he's trying to say that M is something important also in corporality, who was there. What develops in a person from the beginning of creation and in this process until straight to the creative Eve develops and the intention upon it in order to bestow and faith above reason is there such a thing as blemishing faith above reason not yet. Again, if we're speaking about inner work, not about the corporal world, we see that when we want to strengthen the quality of visual in us, the nations of the world in us will to receive disagrees, and we don't listen, we only follow go after strengthening Israel. The connection between us and the 10 is there any face when the nations of the world, meaning the will to receive in us, can receive some illumination and surrender to Israel, or is there no such thing? See, for now we have to go. Again, that's what I want to talk about. That basically there's nothing common. We're going above the will to receive. Yep, no again, well. Yeah, 33. What does it mean when it's written that faith and Torah both come from the Creator? How do we make the Creator give them? Again, what does it mean when it's written that both faith and the Torah come from the Creator? How do we make the Creator give them our connection as much as we connect and need both of these four? And according to that we get closeness to them, we understand them. That's how it works, that's it. Yes, another small discernment concerning what he asked before. In the days of King David he fought internal wars, but also external wars. Joshua son of Nun, in his time they conquered the land of Israel. Of course internally first because they went through a process, but also on the outside. Why today are we not connecting between the two? Or maybe we still can't. We can't. You're right, we can't connect the internality of the war with the externality of the war. We don't have inner forces to fight them. That's why we don't have the same war as they had back then. This is why we shouldn't be looking for the connection between internality and externality. You can search for it, why not? But that it'll actually be clothing in one another. It still can be all right. I actually feel the opposite. I feel like there's truly a projection of our internal reality, what we see outside. And he writes here concerning the sign, the land of the nations, means that only the Creator knows that he's watching over the whole world, but the nations of the world don't see it. This is why he give us a sign to know if we are in the land of Israel, or is a land we dwelling in still the land of the nations of the world. So it follows that first the nations of the world have to enter this land, which implies the will to receive, which was born in this place first, and then we fight with will to receive and subdue it under the authority of holiness, meaning that everything he does will be according to what the Creator demands. So my question is, everything we see is a reality that had to happen. This attack on the south of Israel, this catastrophe that happened, so we have to accept this perception that this is how it had to happen, this process. My question is, in our work may be to accelerate the process, or to, in order to really defeat these inner forces, how do we do this? Because I feel like there's something here that maybe we can add. We are only lacking unity between us in the nation of Israel. Let's say it's called the nation of Israel. We are lacking unity. If we were to unite, we'd see success. It's not in quantity of soldiers, and not in all these operations, only in the connection between us compared to the enemy. That is what we're lacking. If we unite, we will succeed. Hope we are doing our part. I hope we're working in it, but it's not enough. We need more and more to turn the IDF into a holy camp, that everyone's connected, that everyone is connected. You want to ask something? Okay friends, so let's go to wait, Moscow 1, Moscow 1 U. The current our current incorporation in the nations of the world before we have an external incorporation. Tari, good morning dear of what do the seven nation? The seven nations is all the force that is in the nations of the world, and we need to try and bestow upon them to affect them, that they will also be ready for connection. Moss. Thank you. I heard from you an expression saying that the war will end when its purpose is realized. Can we understand what purpose the war might have? Who determines the purpose? The war ends in the end of correction, but it's not the war. Not a war that we fight with the metal and weapons, but there's a struggle between forces of reception. And so you could say that the war is constantly conducted from the moment the world was created until the end of correction. Latin 1. The inheritance of the heart. Love your friend is yourself. That's the land of Israel. So how does the heart expand when it's confused gradually to all kinds of external confusions? The heart straightens it self, and in this way gets the right form. Desire called a heart gets the right form. Woman. PTS. Thank you very much. A friend from the 10 wants to ask. She didn't understand if we restrict all our desires at the point you talked about, and basically they won't be any will to receive. So how will the Creator bestow if we have no desires? The Creator will expand the desire to bestow and aim it correctly, and then we'll see the world with new eyes. Through new eyes. Toronto. 2. We have no question. No. We're as all and one. Good morning, dear. Our morning. The Creator has given us a sign so as to know if we are in the land of Israel or not. What exactly is this sign? We're not in the land of Israel yet, because we still don't have a desire to bestow and connect between us, but we're coming close to that state. What is conquering the land of Israel? Is it acquiring of a certain desire, or any desire can be turned into the land of Israel? The land of Israel doesn't exist just like that it's called the land of Israel, but the pre-desires that had the will to receive for themselves, if instead of that drew the closeness to the Creator, they become desires for the sake of the Creator, then that's called conquering the land of Israel, meaning any desire I can turn it into the land of Israel. Yes, correct. To have to turn the IDF into a holy camp where everyone's connected. Can you elaborate on that? No, just expand it. German for good. Concerning Abraham, it's written that he bowed to the ordinary people. What did he bow before them? He was the son of Ter. Ter was a astronomer, and that's why Ab and something was connected to that. An astrologist, but couldn't come out of this work of his corrupted work, and Abraham could. There's also the sons of Het who are described. Are there also such people in their tent? No, in time it doesn't really belong to it. And what does our work seem like when we like Abraham bow before the sons of No? We can't war in Wes without any direction, without any special we just need to uplift above our will to receive that. It. Latin 13. It is written, and all the peoples of the land will see that the name of the Lord is called upon you and will fear you. The question is, what type of fear is it, and at what moment? When will all the nations of the land see that the name of the Lord is upon us? We see that some part of the group, or the whole group, is all directed towards the Creator, and that's how it advances. You can also see it from the outside also. Between your there's 2 or 3 that are in a state that want to uplift above their ego and are already successful exiting it. Woman. Max. Thank you, dear teacher. If the Creator gave man this transition from the quality of reception to the quality of at the moment of transitioning, it sounds like moment. How do we build such protection? From where do we take this strength to build this screen? All kind of actions in the 10 we get only through the 10, only from the 10 scream to the Creator, to the friends, but only through that. Good morning, friends. He writes here that the head thing are tar and revealed work, so they will see that the name of the Lord is upon us, and they will fear it. What revealed work should we do in our current state to show it to the world? Advertise, tell the world what's standing before them and to which direction we all need to develop. Dissemination, or is there anything dissemination? You don't need anything. But okay, thank you. After you disseminate, there'll be people that are going to respond on for your dissemination, so keep studying with them, keep directing them. I know, woman, be good morning world time. Before I ask the question, with your permission, we have huge earning in the 10 hour meant to come Saturday to a meal with friends from the Israel into an amazing lesson, so we can't wait to be there, and hopefully as many of us will be able to come as possible. Prepare for that. Next, now the question, conquering the desire, we come to the current state, which actually is parallel to what we learned about connecting the previous state. In conquering the desire, we see in the external were similar to what is happening now. I suppose it means we didn't internalize enough. So the idea of sudden war started with their Mabes that the Romans brought 23 legions to suppress the mutiny, and the one who supported the mutiny was Ra, so the faith was there. But in practice, mind the revealing of the head, feeling like the friends asked, we couldn't connect things, and now we're kind of going back over, we're repeating the same scenario much more painfully. How do we connect it so we conquer this will to receive and put on it this endless faith? Everything also depends on time. We have to do what's right for our time, our state, and with hope that everything will work out. That it is our nation more fit for no, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. You should get more interested in this and even write about it. You said we have to check our desires, but in this check it seems like we are ruining everything. How can the 10 understand where the enemy is? How should it understand where the enemy is? The enemy is between them. We don't have a different area. The state between them is called Israel, the land of Israel, the army of Israel, also the temple, if you want to say. Everything can be recognized, and the connection between them and also the army that comes in between them, and it's to scatter them. The Romans want to scatter Israel, so we against that need to fight. The main thing is in the head. Yes, I want to ask, does it mean when the will to receive and the will to bestow cannot be together in a person? Because according to all the laws of nature, the two contradicting forces can be together, but they'll always be contradicting. That's what happens between the W to receive and W to bestow. Just like all the physical forces, they have the same law. Can manage it, cause I feel too small to understand how to manage one and how to manage the other. What gives me the ability to understand how to manage these forces correctly? There's a special art in this, how to work with the W to receive and W to bestow together like a very interesting game. How is it possible to do one upon the other? How one can cause a collision between them in a way that you'll come out of it with the desired result, that your will to bestow will control the will to receive. Well, we'll learn this. We will learn. I see that today it's already you're drawn to it more and more. Another day or two and we'll start working in it. Bulker, things are okay as long as we're together. Everything is good. My question is, can we say that instead of the war we see now around the world, it is coming because we're not connected internally enough? Very precise, you're right, since we're not together internally, so all these problems are taking place in the world. That's why the whole world is crying out that Israel are guilty about everything. Can only prayer help us to bring external wars inwards? I think so, because we fought enough and nothing helped. Nothing in the world doesn't help. No war, only we need to reach a decision. That help can only come from the unity between the hearts. Free if we are not in the land of Israel. Where are we? I understand that we are not also in the Exodus from Egypt. We're in there. We didn't decide where we're supposed to be at, because in order to decide where we need to be, we need to be in a desire and the connection between us in a clear way. What do we want? Who? Towards which desire are we preparing our foundations, our crown? So right now we are in limbo. I don't know what that game is. Limbo, what is That the professor knows, but not me. I didn't learn that in the university. Okay, Norma will tell me. Later I see her day 2. J.R. Where do you all know this? So it's a term. Okay, right, it's not written in the article, but it means in the air, not in a definite place. Okay. Woman. 2. Thank you, R. It says in the article, the people of Israel want to themselves, and their being, which is the will to receive that was created. Existence from absence. Yes, so the question is, does the Creator alone give us the intention to bestow, or do we, the Creator, created together? No, Theo comes from its only source, which is the Creator. If that was the question, the world to bestow comes from the Creator. Yes. What it seems like winning the war, this collision, the key for it is the greatness of the Creator, the thing that can subdue one desire eventually. That's what we acquire. This is the craft we have to develop, or to create it within us and explain it to the world, the force that controls everything. Yes, do we become craftsmen in this to give it to each other in the tea, and only through inspiring through the friends, the light of the Creator comes to us, the upper light, and in this way, time after time, it bestows on our desire, and our desire gets inspired and surrenders, and in this way the Creator can settle in us. Oh, it surrenders to the example it gets from their friends. We can say that may the name of the Lord be upon you. Yes, we learn, and we also teach students that everything happens within us. It's all in the in man's interior, so this is relatively easy to understand, but in the article and today, and from your answers today, the lines feel kind of weird. If there's a person, a student, sitting overseas somewhere listening, how is it supposed to work with them? How should he look at reality? He has to accept reality the way he's hearing it, and tomorrow even more, and the next day even more, and every time it can even contradict the previous day, and that's how it's built in a person. In other words, we should just let the material wash him over and not try to every degree is opposite than the previous one. For us here, we're kind of living in it. We're living in the situation he's talking about, an internal war, and we are in an external war. On the one hand, we know that root and branch have to meet only once. It's kind of they met already, that the land was conquered. Why are we again going through a physical process of conquering the land? The root and branch need to incorporate. They have to mutually bestow on one another. The root comes in a way that it isn't suitable for the branch, but it needs to receive from the branch restriction, screen, reflected light, all kinds of things, and then gradually it can clothe on its corporeal branch. So can we say that the wars now are because of the incongruence between them? It's always because of that. A war is because it doesn't connect to one another. But I thought that when the Tar talks about the conquering the land, that there was a conquering of the land internally and then externally. So it's an internal process that is expressed once externally, and that's it. It's happening now. It is happening now. This process is spread over this time. So should we do something in this process? Besides working the tented inside of us in our desire to connect together, that we will be the brute that receives this upper bestow in a correct way. What does it mean in the correct way? That we agree with what's happening and we're expecting salvation. Okay, that's us in our work in the 10, and if we speak to people around us, because there's a lot of talk like we give. So when we're busy here with this corporeal war, we still to try and organize internally. Even though you said to try and connect the two, we have to put the focus on our inner organization between us in order, yes, to resemble the Creator, and then to see the effects on the outside as much as possible. Yes, 3. Asking what's the right relation to the forces within the nation of Israel that seem that they hate Israel a lot more than the way the nations hate Israel. What's the correction for those forces within the nation of Israel? The correction to try to, nevertheless, stand up to them and explain to them what is the holy camp of the people of Israel, and that only with the help of the army in the Creator Above we can build ourselves correctly and be saved. We don't have any other forces besides those. Sure. Yes, you've mentioned few times a holy camp, that the IDF has to become a holy army. IDF doesn't really have to become a holy camp. It is a holy camp because I think there's still respect to our army. Maybe it's the only thing left that everybody really relates to in such a way, but you're speaking about it in spiritual way. Yeah, what do you mean? I mean that there is a spiritual force in the army that elevates the whole of the people. Israel also to the level of the Creator. In what way? Even those soldiers who have no idea about commandments, they are incorporated in general in this system which brings all of us into the sanctity of the Creator. So our soldiers in Gaza, even though they don't know they're fighting a spiritual war, yes, and what's our role? To support the spiritual war that they're fighting. Our role is to support them as much as possible. Beyond the physical support, we send them gifts, we think about them, what in our hearts to connect in our hearts and help them through our common heart to succeed in all their campaigns, and in this way the whole nation will take part in a spiritual war. Yes, I don't have a question, I'm just asking to repeat something I heard from you in the past about a relation, a correct attitude towards a war, also the connection between corporality, the externality, and the internality. You were asked many years ago about the right attitude to a war we have with our neighbours in the south, and you answered obviously the one who comes to kill you have to kill him first. It's a commandment, and there's no question about it. That's what I heard from you. Actually, by this we are acquiring some more time for correcting our soul, and that should be our attitude. And earlier, a few years ago, I heard you say that a person is afraid to die because he's afraid that he won't finish his correction in time. Is that the right way to look at it? That's what I understood. The question is, how do we connect in order to reach the right attitude towards everything that's happening to us? Now, if a person is at war, he doesn't need to die, meaning he doesn't need to be afraid to die, because otherwise he won't feel he won't complete his correction. This is what happens in the war itself, that if this happens to him, that he dies, then he is already in correction. Said to that, it thank you already touching this. So war has something that has wounded and killed, and there's very broad circles of families and friends that are in trauma their whole life after that. Yes, it leaves a mark. That doesn't leave. Does it have any effect on a spiritual search that comes afterwards? Of course, no doubt that those desires and thoughts and actions that people did who were killed in this tragic process, by this they correct the world. They correct the thoughts of their friends and relatives and of all of humanity. Can we understand or ask about which way it happens, or we only see the results, because all the souls are actually one soul? So the incorporation of the soul's influences everyone. So what's the difference if, let's say, God forbid, there was a huge earthquake and many would die, or soldiers that go to war? What's the difference? There's a big difference. Some died because of an earthquake, because of a still rising, and others died in battle because of a reason that belongs to the speaking. And there's a big difference in the correction of the soul in this. Why? Good, no. Well, in the article it said that one shouldn't think that he achieved, that a person achieved something through his own force, that the Creator helped them win the war. So to be an equivalence of form, how can we let the Creator win the war? Like her slogan is, we win the war, but not exactly. It's the Creator that has to succeed in it, and we are his soldiers. Correct. So is that an opportunity to invert it in that direction? Yes. Marish, it also feels to me that what he's saying about the it's like a flag, that of our nation. I don't want to confuse people, but is it relevant for us to pray after the lesson, everybody with, if the friends can, to put together, and if you want by all means where is. Aeon, here the the book of Tor is the result of some inner effort to connect. Does it have to be external like now with an external war, or the opposite? If we make the inner war better with more connection, maybe it'll prevent the external suffering, and that won't have to happen. We don't really know the whole system, but we need to do what is closer to correction, spiritual suffering that we're trying to connect in. See, does it prevent corporeal suffering? I don't think we need to sit and cry so that bombs don't fall on us. No. Okay, no more questions. In the end, is a purpose of war. In reality, why are there wars? To shake people up and shorten their time of correction, because usually after war there are thoughts, new relationships. As so the world has to aspire to be in peace towards one another, or are there always going to be wars in order to shake us up? If it is wars that have to come, they have to come in order to lead us to the end of correction. Then they can't stop, they only help this and that and this and that. Maybe they wait for a new generation to come, but our history continues. So what's the purpose of a war? The purpose of war is to awaken in the desire a new reaction that may be now in the new desires. With the new desires, with the records from the war, impressions from the war, they will be better capable of reaching decisions that are closer to the end of correction. In wars, there a certain side that wins, or is it a process that everybody's going through? No, the creator wins in the end. Only the creator wins. And what does he win in? That everyone eventually comes to a state where they see that they have no triumph, no victory other than one thing: to connect and accept and receive strength from above. So it turns out that all of their ability to reach this completion or to reach peace, it's only in the creator. Yes, and in this level there will always be wars until we get there. Thank you, someone over there. Yes, we have friends that are deep in the war. We even have a war that for 76 days wasn't in a morning lesson since this war started, and they are really in the heart of the matters. How can we hug them, support them, be concerned for them? I can't say it's you who are connected to them. Write them if you can send them something. I don't know what might they be missing. They can't even be connected to the morning lesson. They sleep 3-4 hours a night. Have to check how we can help. I know many of them, and the heart aches, but there's nothing you can do. There's nothing we can do. Okay, I'm out of strength. Yes, about the nation of Israel. In the land of Israel, I live here from 91, 30-something years, and I've never seen Israel the way it is today. There's like a feeling that part of the nation, everything they believed in, everything they had to lean on, just broke in the 7th of October now. These people are searching for a home. If there was an anti-Semitism overseas, they'd run away from there, but there's anti-Semitism, and there's nowhere to run to. So there's an opportunity now, 'cause these people are going through a lot of inner process, is left the center of trying to understand what happened and where to go to. So the question is, we as our organization that has something to offer, we have to do like a recalculation, the purposes of Aurora dissemination towards the public that is now going through like a new birth. There's a crisis that's happening here that never was before. I don't know, bring me a more a clearer idea, something more settled. I don't know, this is what I could do, and more than that I don't have an idea, and I don't have the strength. Yes, these people that lost their basis believed in good attitude towards humanity, that there's good in the world, and also in the wisdom of full. If you look at the message, it's very broad. All these messages are there, we just have to peel some things off. Now these people don't have a home, they don't have a mother and father, as we first say. Everything they believed in just broke down, and now they're trying to internalize it, and there's all kinds of shocks but eventually there's no ideological basis for anything. They lost their country. They're starting to understand this gradually, and part of them are now going to religion. Sumer, I don't no humanism, and what gives the world, that there's no uniqueness to the actual land of Israel, but is for everybody. It doesn't matter what religion or race you're from, but this message can be a warm home for these people. Maybe that is something we can focus on and give that to them, this cosmopolitism that they were searching in the West. Maybe we can bring it from here. Please, you can take a piece of paper and give us your project. And of course there are many people here who, and there are also systems, we'll be happy to delve into it and check it, look into it to see to what extent it can be implemented. Please, I'm standing supporting anything that can support, that can unite the people of Israel and advance it in this way. No. Yes, you said that everything depends on the connection of the nation of Israel, and that's what we also write in all our books. It's also written. Yes, that's on one hand. On the other, everybody has to say that everything depends on me or my 10 or the world group, those who are already in this business. So where's the weight here? Who's responsible that there's an external sign like a war or a disaster? Not that I'm looking for guilty people, but just to put like an emphasis on where the responsibility is. I don't know. I don't know. I come here for 2-3 hours a day, and this is what I speak. Nothing more than that. I'm not organizing. I'm not saying about the organization. Something happened externally, so it's a sign of a lack of connection. Usually we write everywhere that it's the people of Israel aren't connected, they were separated. This is why it happened. Yes, on one hand. On the other hand, what the people of Israel, what do they know? They didn't study Kabbalah, so I have to blame myself first of all. My 10, my the world. CLE, that we're not connected enough. That's something we're not talking about. Go ahead, talk about it. We're constantly talking about connection. Should I blame myself? Should, well, that help? We don't need to blame. We have to move ourselves to connection, push everyone to connect it at the center of the connection, where we invest more forces in connecting in the 10 or the nation of Israel, first of all in the 10s and then in hundreds and thousands, etc. Can Professor Mari? Yes, Professor. What in 48, when the state of Israel had a miracle, all the 7 nations of the Arabs against Israel. Also in 67 we conquered a lot of land, and from then the state starting to invert itself. Now it's a completely different feeling that there's a huge Israeli army and can't even defeat a terror organization, and it feels like it's not fair, as if they're tying our hands behind our back from above. I'm trying to understand why is this. Why? What can we learn from this? Because they have the same means that we have. They become as smart as we are. They influence the whole world through in the purpose of our existence like us, and even more. They are succeeding in turning all the countries into their friends and making them close to them. They grabbed all the sources that we once used, also on a military level, and also about the way we explain it. Also an explanation. How did they convince the whole world that to this massacre and rape, the slaughter and the rape don't matter? Anti-Semitism stays, and it's a force that remains and helps them overcome all of our obstructions, the things that we're trying to obstruct them. What I meant is, it seems the Creator is tying our hands, that's for sure. So why is it like that? Because you are wrong. You are not working correctly. You need to be more ready, more connected, more learned, mainly with more of an open heart to everyone, and then they will understand you, feel you, and come close to you. State is very frustrating also in the military front, and also in our explanation on cause we're right, and everybody's treating us as the bad guys. So it's frustrating. I feel it too. I don't know until we learn in all kinds of ways that we are wrong. As long as we have an egoistic goal, we will not be able to come to the world and offer them anything that is correct and good. This, can you explain to our nation, what does it mean to be right? Right means the upper justice, sharing, complementation, equality, and everything, but we don't have that in Israel. 2. If what do you want to come to? Then, no, you have nothing to offer to the world. The Creator is creating a state that we have to learn something from it. So if you can't learn this thing, if our nation can't learn this, so what does he want? Our nation world know what does the Creator want us to learn, because he's not letting us learn this. It's not clear the Creator wants us to understand that only the connection between us without any boundaries will help us save ourselves and the whole world from that to which we fall, to which we are in constant fall to it. Can our nation learn this in their current state? In the current state, no, but maybe in a worse state. Yes, I hope that we are going out with the right spirit.